true, but everything's possible. Joseph Biden now says we can't be in a recession, and we will not be in a recession because he has changed the definition of recession. I'm serious. The White House just did that today. From the Merriam-Webster dictionary, recession, a period of temporary economic decline during which trade and industrial activity are reduced, generally identified, here's the key words, by a fall in GDP in 2 successive quarters. It is that simple. I studied economics, went to the London School of Economics. A recession is a fall in GDP in 2 successive quarters. It's boring, it's wonky, but it's that simple. It's been that simple since modern economics began, until this release by the White House today. While some maintain that 2 consecutive quarters of falling real GDP, this is their quote, constitute a recession, that is neither the official definition nor the way economists evaluate the state of the business cycle. It is unlikely that the decline in GDP in the first quarter of the year, even if followed by another GDP decline in the second quarter, indicates a recession. I have to wonder why they would release that today. Why try to change 100 years of economics, well, just today in the middle of July? Well, simple, really. The calendar, economic numbers come out later this week, and they will likely show we are in a recession. So much like the Soviet Union never had a food shortage, America under Mr. Biden will never have a recession. Put another way, inflation isn't some mythical concept that the White House can soften by patronizing Americans with better sounding words. We all feel and see inflation every single day. And recession is, yes, decline of GDP growth for 2 quarters, but it's also how we feel. It's kind of like when parents tell kids the beloved but very sick and old family dog ran away. The dog's gone. Or in the case of Lindsay, our producer, she's the daughter of a livestock farmer. Her dad would always say the pigs that left the farm went to summer camp. There's Lindsay and her dad. When in fact, the pigs went to the slaughterhouse. Clearly, this deception still affects her. She wrote all this. It, of course, makes us feel better in her words, but the fact of the matter is the beloved dog, or in the case of Lindsay's pigs, well, the pig's now a ham sandwich, the dog is dead. She still talks about this. She liked the pigs. Her dad didn't tell her the truth about pigs. Telling the truth is important. That's why we trust people, is if they tell the truth. Recession isn't the only thing the Biden administration wants to change the definition of. So far, they have redefined secure border, COVID success, immigration, mothers, and infrastructure. I would go on, but that leaves less time for Chris Hahn, host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast. All right, do you agree with Chomsky that America now and the Soviet Union have some similarities?
No, I do not. And tell Lindsay, those pigs were delicious, and I appreciate her sacrifice, as do most Americans.
Fair, but help me out here. What is the benefit in trying to tell the American people they are not experiencing what they're experiencing?
There's no benefit. I didn't go to a fancy London School of Economics. I could barely add, but I am a political guy. And I know how to read a poll, and 66% of Americans think we're in a recession already. So even if we have second quarter growth in GDP, the political problem for Biden and Democrats across this country is how Americans feel, as you pointed out in your statement just before I came on. So they've got to figure out how to show the American people that every day they wake up and try to figure out how to get them out of this economy that they're in right now due to inflation. Now, gas prices have fallen for 37 straight days. I could be wrong. It could be 35.
I think it's actually I think the number you're looking for is 39. But, hey, I get it that you had a big weekend. To your point, though, I guess maybe the president is not watching tonight, but he's certainly not taking your advice. Here's him today about recession, responding to one question.
We're not going to be in a recession, in my view. The employment rate is still one of the lowest we've had in history. It's in the 3.6 area. We still find ourselves with people investing. My hope is we go from this rapid growth to steady growth. And we'll see some coming down. But I don't think we're going to, God willing, I don't think we're going to see a recession.
Okay, where is Bill Clinton? I feel your pain.
Yeah, he's got to feel their pain, right? It is weird. I get it. We have the lowest unemployment in 50 years in America. And even though consumer confidence is low, people are still spending money, which is part of the reason why there's inflation in America. So we're in a weird spot right now. Growth is stymied mostly because people can't find people to build things and service things in America today because unemployment's so low. And the job market is pretty much a labor in labor's benefit right now. So I hear it. It must be frustrating for Biden because he has very little control over what's going on right now. And there's some good news and some bad news. But the American people, 66%, in some polls it's higher, in some polls it's a little bit lower. But right around 60 to 70% of Americans believe that we are in an inflation. We are in a recession.
66% of Americans don't say, gee, I believe there's been negative economic growth over the past 2 quarters. They just believe I'm worse off. I feel more uncertain about the economic future. I'm paying more at the grocery store. Less of my paychecks left at the end of every 2 weeks. Therefore, I feel like we're in a recession. Explain to us what the political calculus of not acknowledging that is, number one. And what do you think would have to happen for the White House to flip this and finally go, yes, we are in bad economic times and we're here to help and fix them?
Well, I think some people speaking on behalf of the White House have acknowledged it, but not enough. But I think this week will tell the tale, right? We're going to get the second quarter GDP later this week. If it is negative again, I think it's almost impossible to ignore it. I don't care how Janet Yellen or anybody else wants to define recession. The reporters on both the left and the right in the media and here in the middle will call it a recession because that's how we've always defined recession. It's a weird recession. I get it. We had 6% growth almost last year.
It's a great point. And reporters will define it as a recession because that's just what it is. It's a technical term, not an emotion based on how the White House defines things.
Well, there are a variety of factors that define a recession. As you know, you've learned this at the London School of Economics.
No, I get it.
It's not just growth or lack of growth, but people feel there's a recession. Reporters will report it's a recession. Remember, they are not economists. Most reporters, they are people who want to just get to the bottom line and a simple definition.
Right. No, and it's become this catch-all phrase. I got 30 seconds. We're all glad the president is feeling better, doing better. Did you see this picture of him outside with his dog working? Who wears a suit in Washington outside in the summer?
I mean, I think we've got to come to an agreement that nobody wears a suit in the summer anymore. I mean, here I am in a suit for this show in my office.
We're indoors. We're not outside in Washington.
By the way, I'm wearing shorts below the waist, just for the record. But it is,
Chris, we could have gone an entire show. I could have gone my whole life and not known that and been probably even better for it. But thank you for clearing that up. It's good to see you, my friend.
I'd let you know. Nice seeing you, too.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.